You know. Well, as you probably know, it's been a bit of a quiet day today. I obviously looked through, amongst other things, this afternoon to see if I could find them. A couple of possibilities, but not good enough as yet to reach an entry point that I thought was okay. Yeah, so again, not surprised as much this morning. A lot of it is a little bit drifting along. The Nasdaq was, gold was, etc. Because the coming week coming up, and there's quite a few things I was reading up on. There's a lot of worry worldwide in the economic world out there. Is see the effect of what's coming up, culminating on Friday's non-farm payrolls. So just bear that in mind. It's probably a good time to get down through lessons, a bit of studying, a bit of understanding, a bit of question answering, a bit of homework basically from a trading perspective, rather than desperately trying to push for trades. Yeah, if we find, well, obviously we're going to do that, but just say, well, I've got to have 5 trades because I've got to pay my rent or whatever. That's the way to be, you might get into the trades and not, you might get lucky, but then again, not. I think it's really clear what I'm trying to say there. As per normal, it started just now, 4 o'clock. Might find a couple of CFDs in it to get some direction. That's 4 o'clock when we start. We didn't have exactly a great week last week, and we've had a pretty quiet one so far today. So some reasonably good news. URAUD, trading idea we came out with, has hit the TP today, at a TP at 58.10, and as you can see, it's cleared the TP. Some people still in it who've modified or whatever, I don't know how they're traded, but from the point of view of a trading room, we put it down at 57.09 with a TP at 58.10, just over 101 bits to be precise, and it's hit the TP and it's taken it out. So that is some good news to maybe start off the Monday afternoon. Okay, so nice start with that. NZD was at CHF, I'm not sure that was sent out to everybody. I think it was a trading idea, the Euro AUD. I think I put it out to be sent, and I don't know, for whatever reason, the office didn't send it out. It's a bit of a pity because naturally, the one that didn't send out, it's the TP. Always seems to be the Murphy's Law, eh? But what you want to do is you want to bounce. Yeah, it's a good chance for a bounce. Could well have a bounce. It depends where you want to trade that bounce or not. Possibility of a bounce. You want to trade a bounce? I can't obviously advise people do it, but if you want to go against the trend and do that, well, it's obviously your choice. But to ask me what I advise going with the trend. Sell the rally or sell a breakthrough, but the bounce is expecting it. What expecting a bounce? Extend a bit, will you get it or not? Another story. I can't advise people to sort of put good money on that in the off chance. All I can say is it should be a bit of a bounce, but to say, if you want to take it, that's up to you. Where to? I haven't a clue. We're going against, you don't know how many people are going to be short covering, as I mentioned this morning. You see, look at this 4 hour. Look at this coming off again. So the 1 hour. Is that enough buyers and sellers? Well, that's telling me in the shorter term, are there enough buyers and sellers gathering momentum to push it upwards? I don't see it now. It could well go up, but I would do it like the Tesla thing. You went out for 200. Well done, guys who did it. But I'd rather try to look at go with the trend and sell a higher price and calculating to see a likely bounce and the extent of that bounce, which of course we don't know. You with me what I just said there, guys? Got the concept? That's the most thing. You've got the concept, you can work around it. The rest is number crunching. If you don't have the concept, you're getting a little bit blind. Good. As I say, I mean, look, if you've got something, it's your money, go and do something, fine. If you want my advice on it, I'm going to have to, in a training room, in my position, I can't suddenly advise going for highly risky likelihoods that may or may not occur. The guy wants to do it, that's their risk they take. I can't tell you as a driving instructor, your Merc can easily do 180 on the open road if I know damn fine the limit is 120. Off the record, you probably have said there are not many cops around. There's no other cars on the road. It's wide open in the middle of the Karoo. You're probably okay to do it, but I certainly can't say so. Okay, so anyway, so we'll move on from that. We can do some stuff this afternoon. If we find a trade, we've done it before, we might do it again. But it'd be great if we can, but I'm not too favor of pushing it. But gold at the moment, as I said, might hover around there, and it's exactly what it's doing. It's waiting for direction, like we all are. We're waiting for direction. And it's usually an economic fundamental, and we all know what that is. It's going to hopefully give us some direction. Okay, so gold is not just drifting. I think you'll find the same with the NAS, and this is the most volatile. And if the NAS is drifting, that tells you something. You can't so much on there. We'll try 15 minutes. You know, well, it has popped up 50 pips in the last hour and a half, which is not too bad, I suppose. Not brilliant, not too bad. Now it's come to a bit of a halt. But I think it could easily come down a bit. I think some of the reason why it popped up over the last couple of hours or so is had a bit of might have something to do with it, actually. No, I think it's just buyers and sellers, short-term ones, scalpers. These guys are doing it all the time. High-speed traders, short-term guys, big buying and selling all the time. And you really got a lot of guys who are just doing it often for the sake of it, not actually understanding too much. Remember, we've got millions and millions of retail traders, not all of them, shall we say, the world's most knowledgeable, will still be buying and selling for whatever emotional reason pushes them. You know what I'm saying? See a couple of green candles, I'll buy. Never mind, it's a 15 minute, 5 minute, or 1 hour. or whatever. They're doing whatever they want to do. So that always gets some movement, but I'm not sure it's going to be sustained in a strong enough direction. Okay, we'll see just now how far it's going to get much more from that point of view. I mentioned EUR/AUD, at least that hit TP, another great week. Yeah, I won't have singing, but it is a dollar one. We know we're all frightened of it. But I think it's a possibility, maybe, if you can, start looking maybe a sell on that one. But I just can't, I'm just discussing it. I'm going to put it out to everyone because I don't know. But I mean, you guys, is that pushing your luck a little bit? Sorry, I'm a 15 minute. Beg your pardon. Yeah, that's pushing your luck. I think it's going to be some downside. Look at this as a bit of a range trade in the meantime. Stop up here about 45 pips. Can we get a decent reward down here? Yeah, we can get one. If you want to do a range trade, a bit of a problem, the 50, or is that the 100, sorry, day moving average. We might get a bit of a day trade there. It might pop down, highly aggressive. Scalpers might do it. People trading before might do it. Beginners probably a bit nervous to do it, and I wouldn't blame them. But some possibility, maybe a quick range trade. No problem. So if you want to look at a range trade, we come back to it. So the pound JPY. Just giving up opportunity there. Right. What's the range at the moment for the last 2 or 3 days? 80 pips, not too bad, more than it looks. Bottom of the range at the moment. Is it trying to break through to the downside? Could well be. The pound, as I mentioned, is fairly weak. Japanese is okay. Not the strongest, but it's okay. At the moment, anyway. What's his name? Hugo, what his name is. He's speaking again tomorrow, don't forget. And that will affect the Japanese yen. The pound's at it again tomorrow. So you've got to be making sure if you get it, make sure you're in a bit of a profit before these funds stuff the system up. Bear that in mind. You've all got the economic calendar. Don't forget to keep a strong eye on it. Okay. What do you want to do? Range trade, buy a bounce with maybe a 40 pip stop and take the top of the range, or sell a breakthrough? Or do you buy? Okay. So you want to take a buy, maybe aim somewhere like this. Well, that'll give you, that's not really that much, is it? Is it worth it? That's your hassle. 4 days to get there, 70 pips, 4 days. No guarantees, remember. You say at least 40 days. I wouldn't mind 70 pips over 4 days. Yeah, if you can get through. If it's a guarantee, if it's not a guarantee, we're going to put your stop down here. Yeah, maybe a tight stop, maybe 30, 40 pips, 35 pips, maybe 65, 70 pips. Highly aggressive range trade if you want to take and can afford to take that kind of risk. Doesn't matter as long as you know. If you know you're breaking the law and you're prepared to take the punishment for it, go for it, basically. To get my drift. But if you want to, you got decent money in your account, you're able to maybe risk a couple of bucks, 200 or 300, maybe a bit wider one. How much money you got? 400 or 500 bucks on a quick punt might make some money, might not. Yeah. What I don't know what you had in mind. That's what the chart's telling you. What do you have in mind? You try to aim up something up here. Well, you might get lucky, but I don't see that. You're buying the pound, remember, which again is a lot of internal problems, as I mentioned, economically speaking, that is. Anyone to add anything on that? Well, I expect it. Theory should be a day trade, yeah, but sometimes it might end up being 2 days, depending on the speed of the market. But if you want to take it, anyone else want to take an aggressive trade like that? Can do if you like, as long as you're aware of it. Nothing wrong if you're aware of it. You know you're driving 160 and 120 zone, that's fine. When you're not, don't know that, that's where the problem comes in. Nobody told me that. Well, this is the problem. If you're aware of it and you want to do it, yeah. Just remember, you're buying the pound. It's 35 pip risk, about 65 pips, something like that, TP. You might be in it for a couple of days if it goes slow. You might be in it now by tomorrow morning. Who knows? Yeah. As long as you're aware of it. But if you're happy with that CUDA, go for it. As long as you can afford the risk. Can't trade unless you, of any sort, you can't afford the risk. I don't like the word, but we've got to use it. You can't afford the loss. You can't trade. More than one guy came up to me and said, "We're going to be careful here because I can't afford to lose money." If you can't afford to lose money, hardly be in a derivative. That's the highest It's not even investment, it's speculating. It's speculation. This is pure speculation. You don't get higher risks than that. So, for investment potential, well, maybe casino or something, I don't know, but or buying a lottery ticket. But seriously, it is extreme high risk. If you're a risk averse, this is not for you. Even equities is risk averse to a lot of people, and that's investment. This is speculative. This is leverage trading. Bear that in mind. Okay. Not convinced everyone actually realizes that. I'm pretty sure some of the new guys coming don't know that. Stay overseas, you've got to take a quick test to make sure you're fully aware of these facts. Okay, nothing wrong with it. It's fine, it's fantastic. But it just, you know, you've got to know the car is a fantastic instrument, but in the wrong hands, it can be quite dangerous. Hi, Mark. Good to have you. Just saying, your AUD trading room one, at least that got to TP because last week, in fact, lately hasn't been that great, and that's not totally our fault. We're doing our best, and a lot of guys have done a lot worse, I can tell you. But this indecision of the market, international growing fear of this international debt problem, inflation and international debt problem against people, you know, the guys who understand the basic economics, yeah, quite frankly, like myself, very worried. We're not talking just about SA now, we're talking about this problem's been kicked down the road for the last 50, 60, 70 years, and I'm not sure it can be kicked any further. Okay. How's it, Greta? No. Okay. We did get any trades out this morning, and we stopped out of the GBP AUD. Well, I haven't said that. I think even though we were, and some guy who paid off their bravery paid off to take us along. We had a short out, and technically speaking, it was, but I'm not sure that's going to be sustained. I wouldn't be surprised to get a bit of a pullback here. I think some stuff coming out in the Aussie tomorrow morning, so we'll get cute now. But I'm not sure the upside is going to be sustained without the help of a fundamental, which may or may not occur tomorrow morning. Yeah, I wouldn't have done. Yeah, I would have thought, fundies aside, a high overcooked price like that might be an idea to short it again. I think it's a good chance, technically speaking and value speaking, they'll come off. But I can't predict what's going to happen to the Aussie tomorrow morning. I can give you a view, but I don't know. That's the big difference. Yeah, it was not much momentum period, Mark, like I mentioned, with all these. You're in this morning. Guys went in this morning. We've got a hell of a lot of very important fundamentals coming out, starting tomorrow, getting right through to Friday, culminating at 3:30 in the jobs report. A hell of a lot coming out. Not just the US Fed speaking. It's also Euro, Pound, Australian, Canadian, Japanese yen. Everything but us, I think. I say it's yeah. So the market is drifting a little bit off this for those reasons. Yeah, what I was going to say, obviously, as long as you understand the concept, because worrying me sometimes that feeling some people not always getting those specific concepts, and I need to try and make it clear. If I say go long on gold right now, and technically speaking, it's not, but let's say technically speaking, for example, it's a perfect buy, and it comes off because I did it just before a fundamental came out and it knocked the gold down. You can't point fingers at me, but you can for getting in the fundamentals tobacco out. But the result of that fundamental's got nothing to do with the technicals. Just bear that in mind. A lot of people say, but look at that double top. Tell you right now, if dollar starts screaming up, the yield starts screaming up. I don't care about double tops or double bottoms. This thing will come off quickly and big time. We've all seen it. Remember the moves at the CPI and the non-farms on opening? Jumps big time. Yeah. Why do you think that is, Pietro? Why do you think that is? I think maybe we do a bit of a question asking, because no good me rattling on if other people don't understand.
From what I saw, Roger, I mean, I just had a quick look at it this morning. Especially on the British pound, it just seemed like there was very little movement, just not moving at all. It was just like floating along.
Yeah, I get that. Perhaps that we can see that. I'm asking, why do you think that is?
Well, look, on the fundamentals was very quiet as well from what I saw. Just especially on the 3-star fundamentals, just like only one thing came out today, so it was all very quiet. And also, I think because the non-farm payrolls, everybody's waiting for that to come out on Friday to see what's happening there. Because of what I saw or heard, they're looking at about a 200,000 job increase, but it's lower compared to what was in January, which was like a jump of like 500,000. So, and then they're all waiting to hear what the Fed is going to say, especially good old Jerome.
That's correct. Well, that's basically it, guys.
Yeah.
So that's right. I mean, you know, nobody who's got any knowledge of this is going to suddenly jump in with so many balls in the air. And we talk about Friday non-farms. And don't forget, Jerome Powell, you quite rightly mentioned, he's not just speaking tomorrow, he's speaking on Wednesday as well. You got to throw Lagarde into the mix. She's speaking as well. And then you got the jobless claims, the weekly jobless claims. Then you got the ADP coming out to precursor. That's coming out Wednesday to precursor to the jobs report. And then you got, I don't know, Canada coming out with stuff. So I think it's all the record coming out this from Tuesday to Friday. It's planned with it. And well, naturally, with that knowledge, you'd be scared. You know what I'm saying? Not saying we can't find something. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying we must be aware of it, because it comes back and bites when we get cute. And the CPI, unless you're lucky, or not CPI, a fundamental comes back and knocks you. Well, it's one of those things. Look, I hit us on the Japanese yen, was it last week or the week before? And the governor of the Bank of Japan in India, because I was thinking, what's he doing this time of the morning in Japan? India, of course, is a different time zone. Suddenly came out, did his speech, and suddenly it strengthened the yen. We were going short in the yen, and it was a nice yen profit, and the bloody thing came flying off. It's completely outside our control. I know you know it, Ken, I know you finally, but the majority of people don't know that. Start complaining about the signals. If you go to the casino right now, I know it's going to be black or red coming up. That's the point. And the fundamental, those sort of things take into account. And you say, but the likelihood after, you're quite right, 500 odd jobs increase compared to 200 expected, whatever. We can say 200, that's the round figure this time, expecting 200,000. But that doesn't mean anything. Till the figures are released, it's purely flick of a coin. Have some fun. I think it's going to be slightly higher, and you think it's slightly lower. Have a bit of fun with better beer on it. That's about as much as we can say. And if you say, what you got it right, some fair, more experience, it's got that to do it. We 1 minute or 10 years, 20 years is irrelevant. We don't know. And it's not just the figures coming out, it's how the world responds to it. That's the most important part. We've seen ridiculously small differentials and enormous jumps to very large differentials and quite small jumps could be out of proportion. So how are they going to react to it is another story. I cut your finger, one person might scream and shout, another person might shrug it off and move forward. You know, you don't know how it's going to happen. So just bear it in mind. I'm not trying to frighten you, trying to get people to be aware. Sorry, beg your pardon. Just if you want to chat, Pietro, anybody, just let me know I'm muted. Normal. Just wanted people to be aware that when you trade in a minefield of fundamentals, you can be lucky or unlucky. It's not skill. You remember that, Fiona, hey? And a lot of guys, and they saw it in action when they were doing some and seeing those big movements, they think, wow. I'll be honest, I've seen bigger. Can get quite hectic. If you're on the right side of it, it's that weekend celebration. Trying to tell you. Happened to one guy, I won't mention name, I think he's left actually, just bringing his money and ran. He had quite a small amount in, and he on a 500-1, horrendously overexposed. He didn't know what he was doing. But luckily for him, he did know what he's doing, because he hit it just before a fundamental, and the fundamental went his way, and he made a massive profit percentage-wise on the amount he had. I don't think he could believe his luck. I think he just stared it, couldn't believe it. And then as soon as he sort of came to from the shop, I've never seen a person pull their money out quick enough, just in case it was a mistake and we would change our mind. By God, he got that money out quickly. It was almost funny. Sure. Somebody comes up to you and gives you a 100,000 rand tip. You think, my God, I'm going to drive off before the guy changes his mind. That sort of attitude. It happened to me in Bangkok. I gave the wrong amount of money. I'm pretty okay with exchange rates. I don't confuse the Singapore dollar, the Thai baht, and what its value is at the time was in pounds. You realize that? We gave him the wrong sodding note. It's very dark, everything. And without him saying goodbye, the guy said, I'm just giving him a tip. Normally say, "Play, thank you." So he gave the tip. Suddenly, kabang, he's off like a lamplight. Oh, bloody hell, thanks very much. He's married. So I realised I don't even tip the guy. Wasn't massive, to be honest, to really piss me off. More amusing to see him shoot off the way he did. I said, trouble at Denmark, seen the corners of the world. I think I went and took the lady I was with, just I think the Oriental, beautiful Oriental in Thailand for a drink sitting on the balcony there. I think cost of a beer was about the tip I gave the guy. Jim, I think it's probably about a day's pay. Just shows the, when you go to some of these countries, the incredible inequality there. Okay, about 5 minutes, 6, 7 minutes to go till opening. Not flush with ideas, so just want to mention something as we're waiting. If you see a trade, I've got to say, I'll stop immediately. I'm going off the subject a bit. I get stuff. I'm a subscribe to Business Day, and it was quite interesting to see how, by world standards, university ratings are. And it turns out the top, we will say the daft Americans, apparently there's several criteria, the learning and access to stuff and blah, 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 quite a bit of criteria. Just tell that for everyone, bore you silly by going through it all. They come up with a sort of figure, the number 1 down to the number of a million or whatever in university. And the top 10, apart from Oxford University in the UK, all of them are American. Cambridge apparently is 12th, and Oxford is 5th in the world. And but the other 9 of the top 10, all American, not Scandinavian or Europe or Sorbonne like in France. No, all American. Interesting, eh? But then the South African ones, the top one is 246th in the world, is the University of Cape Town. And then you come down to the lower end, which you come down to, let's have a look now, University of Mpumalanga, which is 7,935th in the world. So, you know, it's outside the top 8,000, just inside the top 8,000 universities. Just so get my point. So nearly 8,000 in the world. I just thought it was quite interesting. See where Zululand, Witwatersrand is, University of Joburg, Stellenbosch University. So it's Cape Town, it's 246th in the world, 398th is Witwatersrand University, Stellenbosch 438th, University of Pretoria 450, etc., etc. University of UJ is actually not bad, 653. I thought we'd be a bit lower than that before I've heard about it. But so it's interesting. University of South Africa 795. There's a couple I've never heard of. What was it now? Just a second. Tell you now. It's Sol Plaatje University. It's rated 9,459th in the world. Never heard of it. And Mangosuthu, I suppose, after Mangosuthu Buthelezi, Mangosuthu University of Technology is 8,260. So obviously having a degree in one university or another, clearly it's not exactly the same. UCT, I'll tell you that. Well, if the world, I don't know, but anyway, what it is according to these things, just thought I'd be interested. If you're boring, you still, I'll move on. Yeah, UCT is 246 now. Never it was in the past. Just came through out of interest. If it's dropped or the same or whatever, but some guys there might find that of interest. Rhodes is not that high. Everyone thinks of Rhodes being a top university. Rhodes is 1,138th in the world. So yeah, University of Western Cape, 927th. So yeah, so when you say a university does make a difference, if you got a degree, let's say University of Cape Town, it's very different to the one at Sol Plaatje University, which I've never heard of. So interesting, thought we'd be interested in that there, chucked it out there. The top ones is Harvard, that's #1 in the world, Stanford #2, all Ivy League, Massachusetts, California, that's Berkeley, that's right, it's Ivy League. Oxford is 5th, then back to America again, Michigan, Washington, Cornell, that's Ivy League, Columbia, I'm not sure about that one, John Hopkins, I don't know. But so we might take the mickey out of the Americans, but hey, certainly seem to have some pretty good areas of learning there. Anyway, just to turn into the mix of quiet to lead up to our past. Okay. I tell you what, UCT, we used to joke, and I lived in Cape Rose years ago, I used to call it the Universal Communist Training Ground. I think most of the guys there would be considered slightly to the right compared to anybody. 40 years ago, they're probably called commies. Those same commies are probably called rightists now. It's moved so far to the left in the world there. And remember Dr. Francel Slabbert? And one of the guys said, remember the PFP? I said, what's that stand for? I knew it was. And he said, it doesn't stand for Progressive Federal Party. I said, what does it stand for? And he says, the Politically Futile Party. I thought it was quite amusing. Especially we used to drink a lot of times in Forest there. And I used to forget her name now, it was actually Francel Slabbert's secretary. Never went out with her, very sort of socially there. So of course, naturally, she's actually a great lash. Take a joke. I said, here comes the #1 secretary of the Politically Futile Party. Giggle, giggle. But it wasn't a way. I mean, you didn't stand a chance against the National. But anyway, just thought I'd chuck that in, coming out of our party. Okay. Absence any major trades to jump into. Berkshire Hathaway, yeah. Do you want to look at that? Okay, I'll put it up there. Should be on there. Yes, it is. I think you all know that. That's what's his name? Buffett's carry on. Is it on there? Where is it? Why is it not there? Maybe I'll put it in properly. BRK.B. Now we can have it. Yes, it is. That's it. Yeah. Let's go to anyway. Go to what we'll call it. The NAS. A bit clearer. You get some action here. Nobody stood a chance, no. That's why I was joking. It wasn't asking it, but the guy who said it. That's the guy I mentioned, Michael Beachy House. He was the guy who did, what do you call that? Thunderdome, what it is, that airline thing in Cape Town. Find those lightning jets. And before he did that, he used to knock around socially. And he's a bit of a car, he's a bit of a character. We used to say PFP. Sorry, Politically Futile Party. It was in the Cape Town, actually. It was like the ANC today. didn't stand a chance. Opposition, it was a one-party state almost. Anyway, that was a good vote. I hope. Patchy subject. Okay, yeah, NASDAQ. What's happening now? Anything? So been open a minute now. What are we talking about here? Bit quiet still. 14 pips in the first few seconds of a minute or so. Like NASDAQ's quite quiet on opening. Remember the uncrossing and crossing as the opening? People getting it out on the spot price, like I mentioned. Yeah, you will get more volatility than that. That shows a lot of fear out there. I think something's come out at 5 o'clock as well. That's in Canada. Just let me check a second for you. So I think it's the PPI. So let's look. PMI, sorry, Purchasing Managers Index coming out at 5. Just bear that in mind. So we'll see how that carries on. Anybody in any shares? Because Richard Tesla, come to Barclays in a minute. And Tesla, remember that Clinton, a couple of guys said expect a jump. And fine, actually mentioned it. So I'd rather shorten the rally. I'm a bit scared. The jump, I don't extend of it. Well, it turned out the guy was right, as it turned out. In hindsight, yeah, usually in retrospect, it did. Remember that it did shoot up from there to around about the 200 mark, as mentioned. Do I think it's going to come off? Yes. Do you want to take the risk of it coming off? These fundings come out, another story. But do you think it's worth taking it, or do you think rather leave it alone? I'm talking about selling, not a buy, by the way. Do you think it might be worth having a look at for the Rambos out there? Not keen. If you are, tell me just now. Go and look at Berkshire's. Might as well look at it. Okay, fair enough. I thought you'd say that. I tend to incline to agree with you, actually. Is it? Okay. Well, it's still a pretty good company. I remember, not just that, brand loyalty is exceptional. That's what it's about, brand loyalty. I can go up to an Apple guy in the UK, for argument's sake, and say, what about Huawei or Xiaomi or Samsung? And they'll look down their nose at you. You know what I mean? It's so a lot of brand loyalty. They'll pay the extra for that brand loyalty. Oh, you go to that university? Well, I go to Oxford. Okay, then. You know, there's a lot of brand snob value involved. Apple as well. Are you still? Well, theory, without these fundings, I'd say you're probably going to be all right. I'm not sure it'll take out 12.5 and all it before coming off. But with fundings that are coming up, Fiona, I can't begin to guess what's going to happen. We've already demonstrated that, as you saw yourself there. Yeah, well, yeah. Amazing fellow, was in his 80s now, yeah. Do you want to buy it here? Because of that, so put the day chart. If you want to buy it here, it's right. Resistance, technically speaking. Maybe take it up there. It's what, another $7 to 320.50, something like that. Stop down here. If you get a stop loss worth it, maybe a stop loss. Yeah, it might be a serious squeeze. Stop loss. I'm going to put the stop there. It's about a $4 to $7 risk to reward ratio. If you want to buy it there, not too sure I'm going to, but is that what you're looking at? Bloody hell. Let's have a look at that in a minute. What do you want to do with this one before we move on? I told you it's got to have some value, Mark. So I'm Marisol about this. It's got to have some value, Mark. It's not worth zero, you know, for long. Yeah, the problem is, where do you want to put the? If you put the TP up here, it's only $7 away. So where are you going to put the stop? You've got to put it below. We don't have to, but you're squeezing it. You might squeeze a 1.55, 1.6 risk reward. Do you want to do that? I'm for the record, I'm not keen. I'm personally not going to do it. But if you want, we can look at it. You'd have a stop. I'll put the lines in because we can't use the calculator for this. We can, but not this one. Not the one on the chart, as you can see. Maybe squeeze it there. And then we put the other one in maybe around about that. You know, something like that. So you're getting about a where is it now? About an $8 stop. Sorry, target. And what's this down here? So yeah, you can do it from there. Maybe put a little bit lower. Some probably do it. Maybe down there somewhere. Do you want to do that? Never mind me, guys. Do you want to go along Morris on that one? Do you want to do that one? Morris is happy to do it. Anybody want to join him? Well, you've heard of Richard I called Richard the Lionheart. So what about a female now? Anna Marie the Lionheart. Do you want to do it? Because Roger the chicken ain't. Well, you can't, because, well, you can. It's a bit awkward. If you give me a second, I'll put it up. Hang on. Just give me a second. Just going to stop the share. Tell me you can see it all right. Right, I've shared it. Can you see it all right? Just let me know. Can't move till you say you can see it. I'm wasting your time. Can you see it? I've got it. All right. Ignore the 50,000. Put it arbitrarily. Ignore it. Okay, I've forgotten now. So you'd have to let me do the thing again. Make it 320. Make it 320.80. I've got to put this in first, haven't I? It's not automatic. 312.80. They've got to take profit first. Okay, it's back to front. This thing, never mind. 308.80. And the TP was 320 something. 320.80. I thought so. Just make sure. 320.80 is right. 320.8. Now that series should be a long. Why is it saying short? Because you want to go long. I'm talking complete rubbish here. And I got mine on short, not long. Sorry, it's my fault. Give me a second. Okay, stop there. So it's 320, and I put it wrong there. That's my fault. Sorry. Where's the damn thing? Beg your pardon. We're getting along, aren't we? So it's 312.80, 320.80. That's right. 320.8 and 308.80. Beg your pardon, guys. That's better. No wonder. There you are. You got. That's not going to work, is it? Why not? It's too far. I'll have to try now. It's not going to work. Sorry. The stop loss has got to be here, which is 308.80 and 320.80. So it should be around about $4. What's wrong? I've done some of them. That's it. I can see it. I put the wrong figure in, I think. Just a second. I think 312. No, that's right. 312. That's $4, and then $8. Tell you what I think your problem is the cost, although not large, has become a factor. So try with 5 shares. See if that makes it reward a bit better. No. So if you want to do it on that basis, you're risking 7.9. I'll put in one I did before. Make it per share. You're risking $5.24 to make 673. That's not good. Can we raise that a bit? We can raise the stop a bit, but then you're getting above the 50, which is not good. The TP maybe can raise it a tad. Maybe to 3. No, we can't. 320.80 is what we got. So that's the best I can do on it. If you want to do that, it's up to you. But you clearly haven't got any near a risk 2 to 1. I think it's not even 1 to 0.5 to 1. If you can do the maths in your head, 5.2 is not what if 1.5 would be 7.3 or something like that. So yeah, I think leave it, guys. And I don't want to fiddle with a TP to an unlikely area of stop. It's too tight, which means you can get stopped out in the noise and you get even more annoyed. I think, no, sorry, it's one of those things. Anyway, we tried it. Yeah, we tried it, we gave it a due, but at least we tried. That's the main thing. Thanks for that, guys. Thank you indeed. Mean that. Okay, so it's correct place to stop on the TV. We can't. One of those things. Okay. Brett did all right at the end. Actually, got to 85 at one stage. My weekly analysis, I said, don't buy there, leave it alone, but it could get a bit of a pullback. Tell you why I said that. Look at the chart, probably see what I mean. See, it went up there and pulled back. Even advised that in these levels, maybe take profit, but we'll see. CHF JPY is doing quite nicely. Much better earlier on, but still in profit. People are still in that. Make sure you protect it, move it up to your entry, or at least reduce your risk, move up your stop a bit. But it was up nice for 80 pips in profit at one stage. But now it's just over 50 in profit, so you should still be in that one. If you're out, you're out. If you're still in, yeah, maybe protect yourself. Even if you want to put it too close, maybe down here somewhere. Even that's a bit far. Bring it up a bit, maybe, I don't know, 60. Or even bring it up to 144.95. I don't know, something like that. But there's your opportunity. Thank you. Please be aware that at all times, anything can happen, and it's not always sensible. Yeah, it's doing well. I'm not quite sure. I don't think any figures of my knowledge or audit reports are coming out at this specific stage. There were, I missed it. Sorry, I do beg your pardon. But I think that's just, it's quite a good share. So when you get a bit of stronger momentum upwards, that tends to be what we call the beta movement compared to some of the others, which in English it basically means that'll have a quicker positive reaction than, let's say, Microsoft will, which is considered a less popular company, if that makes sense. So you get a bit of good news, it'll benefit both companies, but the more popular one with Apple clearly is. So well-known, well-loved brand tends to react a little bit stronger. Will that be maintained? I'm telling you right now, let's make it, I'm going to wave a magic wand, make it a fundamentally or a fun-day-free week. I'm not so sure about that. I think it could go up maybe $3 or $4 more before it comes back off again. But because there's so many fundies coming out, I think I'll leave it. But I'm erring to it's reaching a bit of exhaustion. Okay, the iPad's coming in. Okay, gotcha. Thanks, Morris. Okay, so what they figures is to release an exciting new what you call it product. I remember when all those years ago when Windows 95 came out, apparently the queues up all bloody night, and the guys when it actually opened, the whole bloody stock was sold out, and the still queues hadn't even got into the shop. It was all sold out. So all the guys waiting near the back of the queue had to wait for the stock to come out yet again. Nice to have a product like that, eh? That's way back, Windows 95, which today is completely useless. Just shows that tech has moved, eh? Not that I'm talk too loudly on tech with people like Mark around. Sure. I think I know as much about tech as Martin knows about NGAS. He knows about NGAS. And he's not in, he's just left, he just probably lost his Wi-Fi there. Actually, that's the point. Let's go have a look at NGAS. I thought we said about 3. What happened there? What happened there? Suddenly took off, you're quite right. So over 3, not for very long by the look of it. Yeah, I must say, I haven't looked at NGAS for a while. Yeah, I think somebody actually took it last week, more nerve than me, and they should be all right. I think about 2.6 or I don't know, whatever they got in at. But yeah, I'm sticking with my LIH on that one. Actually, I think the bet, Mark, probably not a bad idea. We've put all our IT algorithms together, experience our heads and analytics together, and it didn't seem to come much that great, you know. So why not? What the hell? Give it a go. So why not? Did he get out at 3? I take you didn't join in there. I take you bought a bit earlier and suddenly got the jump and took it. Yeah, it's a bit slow, but we'll see. But yeah, I just base it no more, nothing clever, nothing brilliant. It's got to have some value. Even water's not free. So it's got to have some value. It's a product. It's got to have a value of some sort. It's getting pretty close to squat. I know a lot of people, and completely happy, my fault, didn't make a killing on the Saturn down about the $25, $26 rand mark per share. Clearly, the assets there, all I could do, it goes back to zero, which is virtually impossible, is your risk, and it could be more of upside. And again, typical, I'm just about everyone else, hummed and fast and farted and hard and blah, 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 got around, blah, blah, didn't make a decision, the ship sailed, and my esteemed boss went for it, and he made a killing. Got out about 200 rand, he got in about 25, what a pleasure. Everything was right, and I chickened out. I don't know why I did. I discussed it with a couple of people socially, with friends of mine, not people in the business. And we all agreed it made bloody sense. We'll do it. And then for some reason, to this day, I do not know why I did it, but I curse big time, because that was as close as no brain you could have got. I felt about that. I don't make it worse, but I'm talking about a couple of million, so I'm actually a bit more than that could have been done if I'd gone for it, with a risk which was all right. It wasn't 50 grand, a little bit more than that. It was an affordable risk. I could have done it, and I sodden chicken out. And for the kind of return I would have got compared to the risk, that's one of the most stupid bloody sit in the fence cock-ups I made. Yeah, I looked at it. I think I've got it downloaded, but to be honest, I'm not sure my stage is going to be of value, because apparently it's so clogged with adverts and pressure to buy it, and it's virtually useless without buying it. So I thought, is it of that great value to me to go and buy the thing? So I haven't bothered actually. I think it's a subscription of some sort. Maybe I'm just stuck in a old fart, but I'm still okay with the WhatsApp, so I'll stick with that. But yeah, I've seen and been told by a few people it's quite amazing. Maybe I'll tell you what it is, Mark. Maybe they're that bloody tight to me, because I'm getting investing.com for free, so I'm getting used to it. That's about time I pay for something. Maybe I should. But the more to the point, I can't see extreme value. Just because it's, even if it's, you know, that was it, a couple $100 a month or whatever's in dollars, but just for the sake of it, is it worth it? It's like subscribing to a radio station. You might afford a couple $100, but you're not listening. What's the point? Is it on the rise, Bing? Because still Google's the way to go. They're pushing Bing all the time on me and Microsoft, but I'm, you know, it's difficult to break a habit. I'm still with Google. Have a look at it quickly. Just expanding it a bit. I need to throw a dinner party for 6 people who are vegetarian. Can you just a 3-course menu? Try it. Yeah, okay. I can copy and paste that in Google. Surely it'll come up with something. I'm just being old-fashioned. No, it probably is brilliant. I'm being a boring fart. Don't take those of me. Yeah, I think so. But I think that's just about everything. Rise and fall, the Roman Empire and all that. That's just about everything. If you stay still, you're going backwards, sort of. But just remember, you know, when people get used to it, people don't like change. 10 years later in the UK, when it changed over to decimal currency, there's still people talking about pounds, shillings, and pence. You know, they're just old hands, you know, difficult to change. But yeah, I agree. Everyone talking about French wine. It's all this, that, and the other. But until you find a few South African, I think Australian wines started winning a few awards, and they start waking up. Can't forever live in your laurels, they say. Is it? I'll take your word on that. But no big. I keep trying to. It works for me the better I use it, so I'm going to stick with it. And it's so well known. It's got more. Trying to make excuses, but anyway, I'll stick with it. I am open to ideas, but it's got to be a major benefit to me to drive on the right after years of driving the left. It's got to be really worth the distance. That's why I went back to Netflix. So for 49 rand a month, it's only on the tablet and phone. The odd program, what the hell's 49? You know, it's so anyway. Find a couple of good ones on there as well. Yeah. He's definitely the people's favourite, Mr. Musk, isn't he? I think mainly because they can't stand the club, the swamp. You know, you're a member of the club or you're just a second class sitting an outsider. And this guy's sort of shooting down a lot of them, and everyone likes that. The people's champion. Okay, Peter, there's not much going on now. So the other stuff to do, fair enough. I'd say we're waffling off the subject a bit because there's not much going on. I think it's going to be a little bit like this week. We'll keep looking. Please join and we can learn stuff and add to our knowledge. But I've decided after the last few times the fundamental smacking the swords are not to push it into the off chance. You know? What's MRK? I don't know that one. Yes, I am. That's mainly for sport. I've got. I only went back to Netflix. I hardly watched it. The odd program for 49 rand a month. I thought, what the hell? The odd program's worth it. I've got British BritBox. Sorry, I find that quite useful. I find it quite good. And British.org I use a lot, but mainly for the sport. I mean, they've got series on there for God knows what else, but mainly for the sport. Yeah, the rugby. I like the rugby. I like the snooker, which don't show over here. I'm a bit of a Ronnie O'Sullivan fan. I like the others, but and I like the tennis and the golf. Probably the golf, the stuff I like in America, and that's always about time my bedtime. Okay, a cup and handle's like a cup. I'll see one on here. It's literally like a cup with a handle. And normally the cup is going up and the handle the handle is going up and the cup is a round cup. It's looking like a reversal swing to come on the downside and vice versa. Wouldn't worry about it too much, to be honest. To be honest, there's like Elliott Waves, ABC. I like the Elliott Waves and a few of these. Even some use in what you call it. What's it? Reverse. Sorry, negative diversions and positive diversions. When the oscillators are going up and the price is failing to. Sorry, when the price is going up and the oscillators like the relative strength or the stochastic or the MACD are failing to respond, that could be a negative diversion, vice versa. Tried them all, forgotten some of them. Used to be a bit of an expert, but not using them much. It's like a language, you're not using all the time. They're all different ways you can have and browse by analysis. Get to understand the fundies, the price action, absolutely. Understand the emotion involved in the people out there and their actions on those fundamentals. Being so aware of them, and you can't predict them that they're there. Watching the canvas of the buy themselves are doing, filter it out, and not overcomplicate it. One can be quite useful when you get a chat. I've got one on here. Let's pretend we have. When it's coming down quite a bit, and or vice versa, and you get a slight upward channel. I'll put one in, a fake one in for you, if you like. Let's do the channel there and a channel there, right? It's been coming down. Sorry, it's been coming down like this, and then you get this channel up. When it breaks the channel there, there's a very high likelihood to come down. That can be quite useful technically. But all of these technicals are useful unless a fundy stuff the system up. So just bear that in mind. I like to also understand the background economic strength of the individual currencies at that particular time. So in other words, even though I see this is in the sell zone, never mind then doesn't matter what it is on the day chart, even though it's in the sell zone now, that was the GBP CHF. I've started to nervous to sell it down. I start to make me very, very undervalued because I had some problems lately in the Swiss franc. More likely, we had some brilliant news coming out of the pound and it's come off, but that's just because some news has come out of the last few days. Is it going to be sustained? Unlikely. It's probably going to likely move up because the overall is Swiss franc overall is economically structured stronger than the pound structure, that sort of thing. And for me, that's I want to see it better. Yeah, it's just a technique shaped like a handle of a cup and the rounding of the cup. Normally goes in the opposite direction at the top of that cup, if it does actually come into operation. But again, you probably find is when you decide to sell or buy, if right at support or resistance, probably not a good idea to do it. You know what I mean? Or now you're selling the Swiss franc against the pound, even though for some reason it had started to fall. So yeah, if you want to get more technical on it, you can do. He's gone now, Dr. What's his name? What was his name? The Riley Show, was it? What's his bloody name? He died recently. He used to have this gold show every day. The Riley, no, the Rocky, Clive Rocky, Dr. Clive Rocky, the Rocky Report. And he's not into the fundamentals at all. Absolutely not. Just purely on the technicals now, he's all these oscillators, etc. And they pulled him in on business day with somebody who didn't believe in technicals, didn't believe in them, but the underlying fundamentals. It was on shares, by the way, JSE shares. It was actually Paul Theron, the Verstack, you might have heard of it if you follow business day. And it was Aspen was the one. This is a few years ago, I might add, probably about 10, 11, 12 years ago, something like that, maybe more, I don't know. And they said, right. And he was saying, no, it was a sell, technically speaking. And he said, no, they're doing this fundamental and that fundamental, and the management's been blacked up and got a great guy in there and he's ready to poise. He's gone into the generics at an early stage. The likelihood's a bounce. Well, we knew what happened to Aspen. He went shooting up. And poor Clive Roffey didn't come back for another contest on that. So yeah, he was an expert on technicals, but that was it. You've got to understand the fundamental underlying factor behind it. It's got to be considered as well. Both. We know the fundamental going to have certain effect. Let's get rid of this because it's getting in the way a bit. But then you've got to start to look at your technicals, sort of buyers and sellers to find your entry. Because the technicals are purely about buyers and sellers, what they're doing. Follow the buyers, not the sellers, clearly. And remember, coming down to a few of them, like this one here, nothing to do with me. This one here is used very, 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 very widely. Some are used widely. It tends to become self-fulfilling. You know what I'm saying? If this is a very strong share, or to call it share, I know it's not commodity, and it's very, very strong, the fundamentals of proves more strength. It's come off and bounced off here. I don't give a continental about cup and handles. I won't even look at them. I'll say it's bouncing off here. Clearly it's strong. The fundamental backing is strong. I'm buying it there. Stop there. Pick it back up again. That to me, far less complicated and far more likely to produce. Remember, if you look at the technicals here, let's have a look. Let's have a look. Insert indicators. Look at the trend ones. Look at the oscillators. See what I mean? There's so many, you don't know you're coming and going. Bill Williams, I'm sure what that is. Different volume. This is another one. Volumes, not just straightforward volume. Look at that. Different volume. Money flow index, on balance volume, accumulate distribution, and then the volumes itself. You can even customize down that. Look at that little lot there. There's a custom. There we are. Look at that. We haven't got to the bottom yet. Akinashi, I used to like that one. Look at that lot. Do you want to go and learn all that? And once you've learned it all, my friend, I bet you won't do any better than a bounce off the 200-day moving average going wrong into strong zone. That's my experience. When you go to university, you've got to learn them all, and then you pass it, and because you don't use them, you forget about them, and you tend to use the ones you do all the time, and that's the way it is. Okay, Fiona. Okay, well, that's explanation, Anne-Marie, or not good enough, or whatever. Okay, Mark, no problem. You see, the trouble is, Anne-Marie, we'll come back to psychology. Thank you. But look down behind you, psychology. And I'll tell you what the psychology is. Everybody's looking for the holy grail as the easy one that works 90% of the time. Doesn't exist. That's where the real reason behind all this. I can't make money on forex, I'll try commodities. Can't make money on commodities, I'll try shares. Can't make money on shares, I'll try crypto. I don't know. What's wrong with these women? I've married 10 of them. They keep breaking up with me. Well, hang on. It might be my problem, not the women's problem. You know what I mean? So if you can't make commodities work, changing over to accounting won't suddenly make that work. Fortunately, that's what we don't want to hear. You get my psychological point. That's really what it is. Everybody's, and some expert comes out, an inverted commas expert, another fancy algorithm. But if you subscribe to this, you can get this one here, and this one produces that. And of course, hey, at last, I can buy the brilliant pill that can give me the 9% no-brainer. No, does not exist. Once you got the no-brainer, remember again, guys, once the no-brainer comes in, your market will disappear because nobody's going to take the counterparty risk. Why would they? Ken, I tell you what, Ken is the world's leading expert in NGAS, and he wants to buy. The problem, Ken can't buy it because nobody's going to sell it to him. Because if Ken wants to buy it, that's telling me it's going to go up. So the last thing I'm going to do is sell it to him. See my point? Sorry to bring you into that, Ken, but I'm sure you know what I mean. Not like most people do, think of the no-brainer, take all, give nothing, easy way out, lack of effort. That's what, unfortunately, comes back and bites. I'm pretty sure he's left now, or finally still here. You didn't do a 3-day course and then become a scientist in chemical engineering. Took a lot of time, and you think, do I have to continue to study this stuff? Giving up my weekends, same problem. Ah, yeah, good old Roger, the good chemical engineering salesman. Hey, it's a 3-day course will only cost you this, or a lowly payment of so much per month, and then you get all the money of a top engineering chemical engineer. You know what I mean? This is no different. What you put in, you get out. Sorry to go every time, but I'm obviously not getting this. Then how to place an order. How on earth can you sort of, you know? It's easy, it's not worth much. Right. Not much happening. And let's go back to the NAS, see if anything happening there. Seems to be pretty quiet. Getting a little bit upward movement, I think. No, nothing. Nothing at all. Sorry, guys, but we can spend the next few days discussing stuff. But I think you're going to find, I hate to say it's going to be a bit on the quiet side, getting trades. And if you do, maybe quick, aggressive ones where it gets to profit quickly, so you can modify your stock just before a funding comes out. Okay, Anne-Marie. Okay, guys, see you there. Knowledge, Gladys, Leo, any of you guys might see something we're all missing. Villani, Sylvia, I prefer that, Sylvia. Okay, a lot of guys are up, Simone and Perrin. Please keep with us. We'll get them. It might be quiet. Here's a time we can use it, maybe the train for some practical learning aspect to go over stuff that maybe the older guys, well, not again, but newer guys might start to see the light and get them from set and start getting somewhere with it. Because believe me, it's worth doing if you can get it. Big time. I tell you from experience, big time, it's worth it. God, there's only about 10, 11 people left. Okay. Not really. We looked at Berkshire. We couldn't find a decent risk reward. And that was a buy, but I'm a bit nervous of buying, as you know, anyway, with the fundies. But didn't. I looked at Tesla as a potential, but I'm just a bit nervous. The fundies again coming up. It's been so bad in the past. I'm looking back at a sell on this one. I was looking for a sell around about these levels here. Stop up there, but nobody was keen to take it down. That was fairly risky with fundings, but I think it's overblown. I think it might have some pullback on that, but it might not be enough with these fundies coming out to sustain the risk. And that's about the best we could come up with. Thank you, Neo. Good stuff. So there's not much. So it's only what happened. It's only apart from myself, another 10 people here. So and someone else has just left. So I don't want to speak to myself at first sign of madness. I can't think anything else. Commodities, nothing. NGAS brought up again, but no. Gold, leave it alone. Brent, leave it alone. Platinum's deposit or margin's too high, so it's just not worth it unless you've got a large account. Forex, we couldn't find anything. The only good news I can mention earlier, Euro AUD at least that hit TP. And that's about it. And I don't start repeating myself to people like Peter, Marius, and Barney who know this stuff anyway. I'm just going to hear it ad nauseum. But some of the newer guys there, Ken knows the stuff as well. Etienne knows that stuff. But Gladys or Sephora knows a bit. There's only really Gladys and Newland, been a couple of times. But Knowledge knows a bit. So not much sure we can add. So maybe I know it's early, but maybe we can wrap it up, have another bash tomorrow. I'm just saying, I hope you join me, but we might be a time where we're going to go over stuff you already know, Farney and Company, but you can always add into the mix if you like, and reiterate a few things that still people are not getting, like correct volumes and levels of margin and risk and what leverage means and basically those things like that. But nothing on the commodities, no. In fact, nothing at all at the moment that I feel confident to say, I like it, put my name behind it, my credibility behind it. It's taken a bit of a knock the last couple of days, last week anyway. And it's natural, really. You don't like a losing one. I think we won a couple. I think we won 2 or 3 last week. I think there are about 4 or 5 of them. So I like a 2 out of 3 winners. Not something vice versa, obviously. Okay, so anything else do you want to add, Gladys? Anything you want to ask? Anything you want a bit of clarification on? The next few minutes, I'm happy to do it. Well, it's not full on training, that's for the Zoom classes, clearly. But anything you just say, just run it by again, I can. Or put up the economic calendar again, I missed it, I lost it, or whatever, no problem. Save your charts, specifications. I think you all know that by now. Anyone doesn't know what leverage is, there we are, start that one. If I say it's leveraged instruments, I'm assuming there's not a person there who said, what the hell is he talking about? Because you should know, all of you now, what we're talking about and how to get the margin. Go there, right click, left click specification, divide the margin 100 gives you leverage. You've got to know it. If you don't know that or can't assimilate that in a battle, you might because you haven't been taught it, and I'll teach you. But if you still don't know and you can't compute the mathematics behind it, you get a battle because you've got to know these things. Or getting the volumes right and the calculators. understanding is not 0.01 on everything. It could be different. Understand when you look at the information on, let's say, the NAS. We'll do the Dow's closer, okay? You do right click on that, and it says market 1, contract size 1, and this one, apart from the fact obviously it's 10 times bigger, which should be clear what that means in effect, what actually say. Those things we can go over again with pleasure. I have no problem, but I'm assuming most people there already know that much. No, to be honest, I'm not going for NAS buy at all. No. I sell the rally. For me, I wouldn't be buying the NAS. No. Can't tell these fundies again. I have no idea what the fund is, but if there's no fundies, I'll be saying if we get to 12.5, I'll be selling it. I don't think we're going to see 13,000 again, unless a fundamental comes in, like I keep mentioning. Ignoring fundies, I'd rather be selling it. It's getting close to the 12.5 area. I'm starting to look to maybe pull it back, but I'm not going to do it, as I say again, for empty time fundies. But technically speaking, and the overall economic big picture out there, stellar rally. I wouldn't be buying it now. Now it has had a jump. That's a bounce, yeah, and it's very volatile. Good luck. I would have waited and missed out on that way for a decent area to sell down. I've ignored to bought it, but anyway, it worked out. Okay, hope that answers your question. Okay. Anyway, guys, especially just only done it a week or two. Rome wasn't built in a day. Stick it out; it will fall into place. Don't worry. Okay, guys. Anything else, or should we wrap it up? We've only got 8 people left anyway, and I have nothing to add to Etienne or Farney or Knowledge or Morris or Pete, and maybe Sephora as well. Going to be any value. The only value I could maybe offer is something like you'll know Gladys asked me a question, and maybe I could. If they don't, well, I can't. If they're all good, fine. You know. Okay, right. We've only got about half a dozen left. Okay, so guys, I'll catch you tomorrow. Okay. Okay, Sephora. I understand, and Pete's off as well. I'm gonna start talking to myself. Okay. But stick it out, those guys, please. See you later, or rather tomorrow when you get ready.